plain sight, really, in other countries. For reaction on these developments, let's go to Alex Ryvchin, who's the co-CEO of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry. Thanks for joining us again, Alex. First up, your response to these targeted killings. Obviously, we know the Hezbollah killing in Beirut was claimed by Israel, but it's pretty clear that taking out the Hamas leader in Tehran was also Israel's work.
Well, these are two profoundly evil men, and as you very well pointed out in your editorial, these are men with a lot of blood on their hands. In the case of Haniyeh, this goes back more than 20 years. His role in the Second Intifada, he was one of the orchestrators of the October 7 attacks. He's repeatedly called for more attacks on Israeli civilians. This is a wicked, wicked human being who has brought misery not only to the people of Israel, but to his own people. This is someone who luxuriates in great wealth, who sits in comfort in luxury villas in Doha. He's a billionaire, largely by siphoning off foreign aid, while his own people suffer malnutrition, we're told. So this is a horrible human being, and the world has become a better and safer place without him.
Yeah, it's a sickening situation when you say, I mean, he's the Hamas leader, he's well known to authorities, he's essentially wanted by democratic countries around the world, yet he's able to hide in plain sight. In Tehran, the Iranians are looking after him and funding him. He had been living in Qatar, of course, it's taken Israel acting on its own to eradicate him. What sort of a response do you fear, though, now from both Hamas and Hezbollah?
Well, Hamas and Hezbollah and the Iranian regime that controls them both at all times seeks to injure Israel, to target its people at home and abroad. We've seen that. We recently marked the 30th anniversary of the Armia bombing in Buenos Aires, orchestrated by Hezbollah at the behest of the Iranian regime. We obviously saw the atrocities of October 7. This doesn't really change the dynamic. What it does is it makes it more difficult for Hamas to plan and carry out these attacks without one of their figureheads. It also shows the people of Gaza that the regime that has ruled over them is crumbling, and hopefully it breaks the morale of the remaining fighters. We know that the Hamas forces in Gaza are teetering. We know that their remaining leadership can't see the light of day. They're cowering underground in tunnels, and hopefully this is the death knell of that horrific organization.
What does it say about Iran, though, the insidious role of Iran in all of this? Obviously, they were hosting Haniyeh in Tehran. They haven't yet blamed Israel because it will be so humiliating for them, I suppose, to accept that Israel could do this in their capital. But they're obviously the strategic arm and the financier of all this horror around Israel.
Well, you're quite right, Chris. When you trace back all of the chaos, the disorder, the carnage in the Middle East, whether it be the civil war in Yemen, the rise of the Houthis, whether it be Hezbollah in Lebanon, which has ripped that once great country apart, the Syrian civil war, and the butcher Assad that was propped up by the Iranian regime while hundreds of thousands of his own people were subjected to horrors. It all leads back to Iran and the mullahs and that regime. And this, as you rightly point out, will be a great blow to their confidence, to their ability to rule and lead and wreak havoc throughout the region. And it also shows the power of Israel, the righteous power of Israel, that when you injure its people, and it showed this back in the Munich Olympics in 1972, it showed this with the capture of Eichmann. When you injure the Jewish people, the state of Israel will be there. It may take time, but these horrific tyrants will eventually fall. And this is a day really to celebrate the end of a horrific human being and hopefully a more peaceful era to flow.
Hard to disagree with that, Alex, I'm afraid. Well said, and thanks for joining us at short notice there, Alex Ryvchin, who's the Executive Council of Australian Jewry.